Hey guys, Paul here at Rapids. Hey, we just took out of the crate one of these portable Kegerator units from Volition. This is the VDD24. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to set this thing up to get ready for service. We're going to show you how to put the actual beer tower on top of this thing, throw the glass rail on it, and get it prepared inside for service. Okay, one of the first things you should do, and do this while the driver, the delivery driver, is still there, is inspect it physically, okay, for any shipping damage. I mean, it's a really durable box, but sometimes this stuff can get bounced around on some of these freight trucks. So just give it a quick look and report any damage that you might see, any dents or dings, right away while the driver is on site so they can quickly and easily process a freight damage claim. After that, then you can cut that truck driver loose. I do want to note that there is a lot of protective plastic film over the unit too to keep it from being scratched during transit. You'll find that over all the stainless steel, the top of this, and then the drip tray has it too, and it's taped down, okay? And then the rest of the components are actually inside the box. Notice there's that protective film on the front of the door handle here too. You know, some people with this clear protective film leave it on all the time because it does help protect, even during regular usage, the stainless steel finish to get damaged. That's kind of nice. Inside the box here, you'll see some of the other things that come with it that are going to assist in our assembly of the unit. They're all taped down inside here. We're going to have a manual, a few parts here. This is the glass rail that we're going to put on the outside. This is the drain bottle for the drip tray. And then we have a box back there that has the tower components, including the faucet and the tap handle. And so I'm going to show you how to put all this stuff together. Okay, let's see what kind of goodies we have here. In this pouch right here, it looks like we have a few small parts. This is going to attach to the air hose that's on the inside that's going to help us channel cold air up into the tower. We have a set of keys here. These keys operate the lock right on the front so you can secure your brew when not in service. Looks like I got a backup bolt here. And then a set of operating instructions, it looks like. And here it talks about inspection, mentions the part where you should check for concealed damage while your freight driver is still on site. And then just some quick steps on how to do this installation we're going to walk through. Also talks about maintenance of the unit. Cleaning the condenser coil. Looks like we got some part schematics there for you to eyeball, some wiring diagrams and such. And then we also have in here, this looks like the warranty information form. So keep this on hand so you know who to contact should you have a warranty claim, that you have to process. Okay, so that's that stuff. I'm going to set that aside for now. Okay guys, let's start with the glass rail then. And again, I want to emphasize or recommend, leave all this plastic cover on here while you put this thing on so, you don't inadvertently scratch it while you're working on the assembly. So first we got to cut through this tape, this really industrial quality tape to get into the bubble wrap here. Box cutter probably work better, but use what you got, right? I guess I'd caution you not to dig too deep as you cut. You don't want to scratch the actual unit, but okay, take care. Okay, so in here we have the three pieces that are going to be the rail. So we got one for each side and one for the back. And I think they're all the same. Yeah, they're all the same length, so we don't have to worry about which one goes where. Okay, then we got a small bag of these support knobs that will secure them. Okay, so here we go. This one looks like it's spun down a little bit. Allen wrench. Okay, and then around the outside of this, you notice there's these little posts, and these are already pre-tapped and drilled. The top of these are Phillips head, okay? And so what we do is we're going to take these and we screw them down onto that Phillips head. But the trick is we want to be able to get them all straight and lined up. And so you see this one, when I tighten it down, it's not quite straight. You know, I could hand tighten it a little more, that would be okay, but if I want to back it off, the trick is actually to go ahead and grab a Phillips head screwdriver and reposition this piece to get it to line up. So let me grab my Phillips screwdriver. And I was off just a little bit, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to back it up just a little bit, quarter turn. And you just keep working it back and forth until you get these straight. It looks like I'm still off just a tick, so I'm going to give it another quarter turn until when I get that thing comfortably tight, it's moving front to back there. Okay, so I'm going to back this up to give me the space then for this rail to go through, and I'm going to go ahead and grab this other one here. This one I got to back up a little bit because this is the one where that popped off, so get him situated first. Okay. So screwing this one down, and actually that one lined up nicely right out of the gate. Okay, and then I'm just going to take the actual glass rail piece and slide it through both these posts. Kind of get that thing equidistant here, and then go ahead and tighten down the top. That's it. That's all it takes to put up a rail. So we'll continue with this process. Moving to the back one here. Okay. Okay, so that's glass rail install. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, so these screws that are in this little bag are a bit nicer screw than what is actually on the box right now. These, I believe, are just put in there for the shipping purpose to hold this top stainless steel piece nice and solid while it made it to your house. So first we're going to remove these and then we'll lay the gaskets down and get it installed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the removal of the shipping screws. And again, this is just a Phillips head screwdriver. Now these suckers are pretty long, so yeah, maybe use a power tool here to get these off. I do caution you though, you know, with the power tool or even with a regular screwdriver, it'd be easy to like miss, and you want to make sure you keep that protective film on to keep you from gouging the stainless steel. But I'm not going to bore you guys with the time it takes for all of these, so hit the time warp. Okay, we take these, we're just going to set them aside. So let's look at this little bag of goodies. So here's the gasket that's going to make sure that we have a nice tight seal from the tower to the box, so we don't lose any cold air. Tool. This is the faucet knob that's going to go on the top there. And it looks like I got some parts here. These might be replacement O-rings or O-rings for the inside of the faucet and for the beer line itself, where the hex nut is there to seal it. But these are the better screws that we're going to use to replace those shipping screws. So I got my gasket in place. I guess the next step then is to take this tower. I'm going to feed the beer line physically down into the box. Okay, line this thing up. So the faucet obviously is facing the front. Their gasket. Pretty good right there, and then we'll put our new screws in. Okay, so on this part of the install, if you used a power tool for that last step, I'm going to suggest that you revert back to a hand tool instead of a regular Phillips head screwdriver. These are all Phillips head. just because I could see where it would be easy for that thing to, you know, run off, and then you'd end up gouging the nice polished finish on the tower. So just do this one by hand. So okay, so I gotta find my screwdriver, and I'm gonna just go ahead and screw these down. Once again, I'm not gonna have you sit through the agony of the time it takes to do this. So hit the time warp. All right. Okay, so we have a basic tap handle knob that just screws right on here. I wanted to show you something kind of unique about this particular faucet on this particular unit, is that the faucet is actually, it's got a spring in it, so it's self-closing. Yeah, some people like that, some people don't. It's real simple to remove that spring if that's not something that you prefer to have. Our tool here is a multi-tool, and part of that is a faucet wrench. It's actually this side right here with that little lip. What happens is it goes on the side here, you see that, and then that little point goes into the circle on the top of the faucet. Now the weird thing is these things are reverse threaded, okay? So to loosen it, you're actually going right, okay? So I'll just loosen this and then kind of show you that there's a spring and how to take that out. Now it is a spring, so there's going to be a little bit of pressure on it, but it's not going to shoot out and hit you in the eye. But this is that spring that causes the actual faucet to close automatically by pushing on that. So if you don't want that, it comes right out, and then you can put it back on. Remember though that we're reverse threaded, so left to tighten it back up, make sure it's straight, and then again the little point there goes into the circle to tighten it down. Okay, so now it's not gonna, you know, it stays open until your pitcher's full, or if you got bigger glass or whatever, and you close it. So you're back in control. Okay. Okay, next we're gonna wanna get the hose, the air hose that's inside the box to feed up into the tower itself to keep it cool. So we gotta get access to this, well, that little part we saw earlier. And to do that, we gotta take this cover off. So this is just a cover over the top, and just fingernails on the side really is usually enough to pop that thing off. And we got a piece of foam insulation here that we can take off. And now we should be able to see down inside where the elbow is for the draft arm. And then we can fish that piece up here onto the top of the insulation, the foam insulation, to hook onto it to hold that up. Okay guys, do you remember this little piece right here that was in the pack that had the instructions? Well, this is what's going to actually hook this air hose right here into the top of the tower. Now what's happening is cold air from the refrigeration unit is going to come through this air hose, and it's going to come out the top. We want this in the very top of the tower to keep that tower cold so your beer pours well and it's cold all the way to the faucet. So we're going to take this little hook, and essentially you just need to thread it onto the hose, okay, just like that. And now we're going to take this and we're going to insert it into the tower, and we want it to get all the way up into the top. I'm going to show you a really clever trick on how to do that easily, because you know it's kind of hard unless you have like super long arms, which I kind of do, to do this as one man. So what I might suggest you do, remember when you took this thing out of the crate, there was probably a piece of strapping on there. So I'm going to show you a trick with this strapping to make this part easy. Okay guys, the trick is take that piece of strapping then and find a nice crease in it, or make a crease, and you can just run that thing right down the top of the tower until it comes out the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to run over here and take the air hose, take the hook part of the air hose and hook that right onto my strapping. And now I can fish my air hose right up the tower to the top. Okay, I'm going to remove the strapping on the hook. I got the hook in my finger here. I'm I'm just going to hook that onto the side of the insulation there. So now the hose is all the way up at the very top of the tower. Cap it back off with your piece of insulation and your cap. Now you got cold air in the tower. Okay guys, so back down here, all that's really left is we have this bottle here. There's nothing to that. This hose fits in the top of this cap right there. And so what happens is the overflow that happens when you pour goes into the drip tray. It's going to come down along this hose. This hose is physically mounted to the side of the box, so that bottle can just hang out there. But sometimes you might want to take this out. Obviously you got to dump it, but to get a keg in and out, you know, it might be easier to move this thing out of the way. So that doesn't require any assembly. Just know, you know, that's the best spot for it. The beer line that comes out of the tower then, don't forget the little washer. That little washer is going to go onto here, and then this is going to physically attach to your keg coupler. Now a keg coupler, that's an accessory purchase. It's a separate purchase, or if you have one already, you're using. And then that fixes right onto the keg when it's in there. On the other side of the keg coupler, you'll have the CO2 line that will come out, and then that's going to go into the regulator on your CO2 tank. I wanted to show you in the back of the unit here, we have that shelf piece, and it actually fits a CO2 tank inside it quite easily. Here I got just this, this is a G50 CO2 tank that we sell. And I'll show you here that there's actually the spring part right there. And so you can take your CO2 tank and actually put it behind that spring, and that'll hold it up on the shelf out of place and out of the way. In this particular kegerator, you can fit a full-size half-barrel keg in there, or up to 3 6-barrel kegs if you wanted to do, you know, different flavors. So of course, then you'd have to get different faucets or multiple faucets on the tower too. They do make tower conversion kits that can add a couple more faucets, and so you could run 3 out of this one unit. You have a thermostatic control knob up there in the corner. You just set that to the desired temperature and plug the thing in, and away you go.